So the Obamas were the headliners for night 2 of the Democratic National Convention. The former president and first lady did not hold back when it came to Donald Trump delivering fiery speeches in support of Kamala Harris.
She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hard-working, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
He killed a bipartisan immigration deal written in part by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress that would have helped secure our southern border, because he thought trying to actually solve the problem would hurt his campaign. He doesn't. Do not boo. Vote. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or somewhere in between, we have all had people like that in our lives. People like Kamala's parents, who crossed oceans because they believed in the promise of America. People like Tim's parents, who taught him about the importance of service. Good, hard-working people who weren't famous or powerful, but who managed in countless ways to leave this country just a little bit better than they found it. As much as any policy or program, I believe that's what we yearn for. A return to an America where we work together and look out for each other. A restoration of what Lincoln called, on the eve of civil war, our bonds of affection. An America that taps what he called the better angels of our nature. That is what this election is about.
Joining us now from Chicago, we have U.S. Special Correspondent for BBC News, Katty Kay, Senior Writer for The Dispatch, David Drucker, and Special Correspondent at Vanity Fair, and the host of the Fast Politics podcast, Molly Jong-Fast. Good to have you all with us this hour, along with Eddie Glaude as well. So, Katty Kay, your thoughts on, first of all, the Obama's primetime speech last night?
So I think Michelle Obama has got to that wonderful age, Mika, that you will understand, of women who get to a certain age and they really don't care anymore. And they've had so much thrown at them, and she has had a lifetime in the political arena of political attacks, and she was going to say what she thought. Yeah. And she delivered it brilliantly. She had some humor, but she was fighting, and she was encouraging everybody else to fight as well. And You know, there's a reason that you have millions and millions of Americans, and can I say as well, people around the world, wishing that Michelle Obama would run for president. She's not going to, but it is their fervent hope because she is so good. And she's got better and better. And I got that sense in her when she delivered those lines about, you know, the things that she said about he didn't like successful people who happen to be black. It's probably what she wanted to say in public for very many years and been held back either by being first lady or running to be first lady or for her husband's career. And now she can say it. And she's got to that stage of her life where she can say what she wants.
Yeah, I will say, Caddy, and Jonathan and everybody else around the table, I think Michelle Obama may have reached that age at like 15. I don't think she's ever gone, should I speak out?
No,
like,
she went
like Donald Trump.
In 2008, she was sometimes nervous about the way she was going to be perceived if she spoke out too forcefully. I remember her saying that. She couldn't always say exactly what she felt in 2008, and now here she is.
To your point, Joe, I interviewed her when Barack Obama was running the first time. And
2007,
just coming out onto the national stage, and she said, we're not going to change for people. We're not doing that. We're coming in and we're staying who we are. And that, you know, that's going to have to work. And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
And I remember she also said to you, you got one shot at us.
Yeah.
You want us, we're here. You don't want us, we're going home. So I do think John Lemire, this, like we said last hour, one of the things that make their speeches so powerful, Michelle Obama's speech so powerful, Barack Obama's speech so powerful. Not only are they extraordinary at delivering addresses, but also, again, they don't get out much as far as in the political fray. People are always frustrated. They want them to get out and do more earlier, more often. And here you see last night, wisely, they choose their moments. They pick their spots, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, precisely right. I was talking to some Obama aides yesterday before the speeches who made that point. I mean, Michelle Obama, we basically hear from once every 4 years. She delivers a convention speech. It's a blockbuster, and then she steps off stage again. The Barack Obama, of course, does more than that, and he will, we anticipate, be on the road again for Vice President Harris this October. He's sort of the closer, if you will, for Democrats. But their words carry such weight because we don't hear them that often. And I was in the hall last night on the floor. It was a rapturous response. And we're over, frankly, where Barack Obama was perhaps upstaged by someone else, as Michelle Obama, Molly, was just so good. I mean, perhaps the two best orators of the Democratic Party share the same last name. They're in the same household. And it was striking how Michelle Obama, you know, in 2016 very famously said, when they go low, we go high. Last night, she more or less could have said, when they go low, the hell with that, and really took it to them, and did so, though, in a very personal way, about, you could see her old visceral dislike of Donald Trump, but also talking to Democrats, talking to Americans, saying, we're better than this. Yeah. Let's start believing in hope again.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard Michelle Obama, for a minute, did Democrats elect the wrong Obama? But then when you hear Barack, he's such a gifted orator. But I agree. I mean, there were so many moments in Michelle's speech where I really did think, you know, she hit so many important points, and she's such a private person. We know them to be very private. One of the reasons why we know she'll never run for president. And she brought in a lot of her personal life, like she said she had her children through IVF. That was the throwaway line, but that was very meaningful. She obviously brought that up because of the Republican attacks on IVF, and I thought that was really important. And then she talked about mothers and her mother and Harris's mother, and I thought that also was an extremely important through line that I think was really meaningful.
David Drucker, just to watch the extraordinary enthusiasm and excitement in that room last night, in that arena the night before, you have to pull back for a moment and remember today is now the 1 month anniversary, if you will, of Joe Biden getting out of the race. Also a political lifetime ago, it feels, and you can't help but think about what a different convention this would have been had he made the decision to stay in the race. We probably wouldn't have seen the loud screams and cheers that we're seeing right now.
No, we wouldn't have. Look, the convention under Biden after that debate in late June was going to be a wake, and not an Irish wake. I mean, it was doom and gloom. And I think one of the things that I've noticed in covering Democrats over the past month, it's just been, like you said, just a month, is that they believe again. And it doesn't mean they're going to win. When you look at polling, Donald Trump still has a lot of staying power on key issues, whether it's border security or the economy. He still leads the vice president, even though she leads him in so many horse race polls now. But it reminds me, and I love, I love sports analogies when it comes to politics because they're so apropos. When a team has been down by 20 points, and they've come roaring back, and now they're down 2, they're up 2, they're tied, and they've got all that momentum, and the other side can't understand how this happened. It reminds me a little bit of 2016 from the reverse, when I would interview Democrats and watch them at political rallies, and they had this look and sound of, I can't believe we might lose to this guy. Don't they know what he's saying? Aren't people listening? And you're getting a lot of that now from the Republicans who are saying, don't they know the vice president's policies? Don't they know what she said? How is this happening? And, one more key point here. I know people have a lot of opinions about the former president, but in 2016, you could look at his message, and he was aggrieved on behalf of so many voters that were unhappy with Washington and unhappy with the broader establishment in the country as they saw it. And so much of his messaging now is that he's aggrieved on behalf of himself, and that's a big difference. Still can win. If you look at the data, this is so tight, but it's just a different feel.
Yeah, this is a close race, a very close race. It's basically tied right now, and David's exactly right. The momentum seems to be all on one side, all on the Democratic side, and the question is whether Donald Trump can respond to this surge. And right now, it's not looking. This has not been a good few weeks for him. Yeah. But again, we've got 80-something days. So we're a long way. It was a month ago, a month and a half ago, that Republicans basically were saying they had it. You look at the Republican convention, everybody that was reporting from the Republican convention said they'd never seen a party so confident as the Republicans that they were going to win. Now they're saying the same thing at the Democratic convention. So